All right, everybody, welcome back. It's another fantastic edition of the Purple Menace podcast. Jeff Craig here with you with my co-hosts, Billy Wessels.
That's me.
Matt Jennings.
Hey, man.
And we've got a special guest host this week joining us, former TCU running back, BJ Catalon.
Hey, go Frogs.
Yeah, we're getting some credibility now.
Yeah, we're starting to be kind of a legit radio-ish show.
Two former Frogs on the show so far.
You know what's funny? And I'm excited to have BJ here, but Killer Frogs is having LaDainian Thompson on their show tomorrow.
I saw that.
So it's kind of like BJ's good and all, but not quite LT yet.
Yeah, you can't beat that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know. I was telling Matt that when we were at Coach Patterson's press conference. I go, I just tweeted out the other day, like, coming up this week, we're going to have BJ Catalon, or maybe it was Facebook, and then I see Killer Frogs today, and like, we got LT, and I'm like, one up again.
they got to beat us. They see us catching on their heels. We're gaining on them.
We're doing what we do. Our show's completely different. There's just old dudes that are boring.
We're young dudes that are boring.
We're younger.
Youngish. Matt and BJ are straight young.
Yeah, we're young.
Yeah, I'm young. My birthday's actually tomorrow.
Oh, happy early birthday, BJ.
21 tomorrow.
21
okay.
tomorrow. There we go, man.
All right, so if y'all don't hear from BJ Catalon tomorrow, you'll know why. All right, so coming up this week, obviously we just had the first game of the season, so we're going to be talking Minnesota recap. Billy, Matt, and myself are going to talk from the outside perspective. BJ is going to tell us what it's like being on the huddle on road games in a hostile environment like Minnesota. Then we'll be talking about SFA, the game this Saturday, 2:30. Make sure you pack the Carter. We want to get everybody out there, get loud. I know people don't want to come to these games because they think, oh, TCU is so great and they're playing Division II. SFA is pretty good. You want to get here and see this game. And they're purple too, so everybody's going to be wearing purple. It's going to be great.
And they got some quality talent. I think they have, 26 guys from the DFW area. These are guys that kids have probably played against growing up, too. So it's going to be a pretty good rivalry.
Yeah, they got some legit players. And then Matt and Billy, you're going to be talking a little recruiting. You got a couple guys that we're going to hit on later.
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay, fantastic.
Matt?
And then we'll always come back with our predictions. I don't think any of us hit our prediction last week, or we're even close.
No, not really at all.
We all had TCU winning. So
we did get that part right, yeah.
But Turpin did not return a punt, and it was not the first punt.
Mike Freese did not have 2 interceptions.
Colby Listenby did not have over 100 yards.
Yep.
Okay, well, better luck this week. All right, we'll be right back after this with your Minnesota recap here on the Purple Menace podcast.
Red 78, watch 32, watch 32. Roll!
You wouldn't text while playing football. You wouldn't text while cheerleading. So why in the world do you think you can text while driving?
All right, welcome back to the Purple Menace podcast. If you're feeling that beat, that was BJ picked that one. That was Rich Homie Quan. All right, it's time to talk Minnesota. Now, I'm happy, just like Coach P's happy with a win, especially first week of the season, on the road, Big Ten school. It's not like you played some cupcake team. I'm happy with a win, but the overall media is like, oh, they didn't live up to the hype. I mean, you guys tell me what your thoughts on the Minnesota game were.
I thought based on, just look at it within the context of all the games that happened over the weekend. With the exception of Ohio State and Alabama, no one plays their best football in week 1, and I think you're in a bad spot if your best week is the first week of the season, like Kenny Hills was for Texas A&M last year. So it doesn't mean anything bad. It just means you're rusty coming off the summer and everything. So I don't put too much into it. Obviously, they would have liked to have done better, but I think they did they were in control of the game the whole time. I think everyone's overreacting just a little bit. A lot
of it. Everyone's freaking out. A win's a win is a win. And Ohio State definitely didn't play their best game last night either. They didn't look that. They looked solid. Freaking that spin around the world.
The final score
looks big, but obviously if you watch the first half and then Virginia Tech loses the quarterback, Michael Brewer, former Tech guy, things just kind of spun out of control from then on. I'm going to keep making spin jokes apparently. That spin was absolutely, that Braxton Miller move was impressive. But it really only Ohio State and TCU played tough road tests in the first week of the season. It's tough to go on the road. I mean, your thoughts, but you've played road games.
Yeah,
What's that like?
Definitely. Well, just before the game, like you said, everyone expected TCU to come out and blow Minnesota out the water. We're number 2. They're not ranked. But just from my perspective, being on the field, going to a road, to a hostile environment, you go out there. This is the first game of the season Minnesota had the whole summer. 2 days they were preparing just for TCU, just for Trevon Boykin, for that offense. And last year coming into the season, the defense was the stronghold. They were the side of the ball we know they was going to stand up for certain. And this year it was more the offense. No one knew much about the defense coming into this year, but in my opinion, they did great. I mean, like I said, Minnesota was already going to be prepared for that, and the score to me doesn't detail, the way the season would be. Like you said, a win is a win, and everybody's gonna be gunning for TCU this year. So we'll get our best game from everybody.
And BJ, did you as a player, first game of the season, did you always feel in the first game there are still kinks being worked out,
Well, yeah, most definitely. And then the first game of the season, it's kind of you have that excitement to get back to football, but it's you haven't done it in so long. So you kind of have to put all the pieces together. And so when all 11 come together and get on the same page, in my opinion, it'll look just like last year.
Yeah, and if you look at the stats of the game from last year to this year, they were pretty similar. I mean, Boykin's stats, his completion percentage was lower, but overall, passing yards, rushing yards, I mean, Minnesota's got some really good defensive backs. And I think that's part of it that I think a lot of people are looking past is that Patterson said this may be the best secondary they face all year. And that says a lot. When you can shut down Colby Listenby and you can hold Doxson to less than 100 yards and 1 touchdown and really slow down Tice Lanina and Des White. And you had some young guys coming in there and doing some things. To be able to keep everything in front of you says volumes because TCU's by far the fastest team in the Big 12. I mean, Baylor's got speed, but TCU has more speed. And Minnesota never got beat over the top. I mean, game plan was there. So when you look at it from that perspective, looking at the rest of the season, if you went and looked at the other schools the rest of the way and look at their safeties and corners, I mean, if this was the worst game you played all year, I'm okay with 450 yards of total offense. Right,
exactly. And then on the defensive side of the ball, like BJ said, that was kind of the question coming into the season. And Minnesota's not going to show you quite as many different looks offensively as maybe a Baylor and Oklahoma will, but you feel good about the way you played against a team like that with so many young guys, with Mike Freeze making his first start, and James McFarland, Davion Pearson both out, and Kindred playing hurt. You got to feel pretty good about, other than the final touchdown they gave up on that last drive, the game was never really in doubt. It was never close. They led from wire to wire. I think defensively, that's about as good as you could have asked for in the first game.
Now, BJ, you played as a true freshman. So from that aspect, how different is it, do you think, being a kid who just came from playing high school football to stepping on the field, whereas somebody like Sean Nixon, he had the injury, but he had a year off to kind of get that college atmosphere. How big of a change is it to go from high school football to Division I and playing right away?
Well, first of all, in high school, you might have 5,000 people in the stands. You go from 5,000 to 50,000 plus. Some games even over 100,000. So that in itself is a big difference and a big change. And then overall, the speed of the game is very different. Once you come into college and you start playing these Power 5 conference schools, the speed is different. Everyone's athletic. People are stronger. People are bigger and faster. And so really, it's in high school you have time. You have more time to think. Is what I believe. And then in college you don't have as much time to think. You just go out there and play and react. And I think those guys out there definitely, like you said, Sean Nixon, first time playing. As you talked about, I think he went out there and he played well. Turpin went out there and played well. They did good, and I feel like they'll bring a lot and add a lot to that backfield and also to the receiving core.
What do you think about, the way kind of Aaron handled his role? He's kind of almost replacing you in a way. You guys are kind of the co-guys last year. What do you think about him? He started off a little slow, a couple ball handling issues early on. What do you see from him this year?
I think Aaron will have a big year. I think he should definitely have a 1,000-yard plus season. Aaron is a good running back. Me and him always used to joke. 'cause, he's very quick, and we always used to joke about who is quicker and all of those different things. But I definitely feel like he'll go out there, and I feel like our O-line is basically the same. We just replaced one guy, and that's Tayo, and we replaced him. But other than that, we're stacked up on the front O-line with nothing but seniors, and I feel like they'll do a good job this year of opening some holes for him as well. I think Trayvon, his running ability in that part of the game will also open up more for Aaron as well.
I mean, I think we're looking at an offense that is just kind of not even the tip of the iceberg, the tip of the iceberg, if you will. Just, I mean,
the peak of the mountain of the iceberg.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, this team looks like they're going to explode. There are a couple of, I mean, what do we decide, Matt? We left 17 points on the field.
Yeah, you have a ball
field
to
goal.
you have a field goal that you miss. You overthrow Sean Nixon. You either overthrow Emmanuel Porter or he stops running, whichever one you choose to believe happened on that play. Aaron Green fumbles inside the 15. You left a lot of points out there on the field, and again, even doing that, Minnesota pulls within 6 late, but no one, if you were realistically looking at the game, you were never like, oh, TCU's in danger of losing this game.
I was never worried, as weird as it sounds, until that last onside kick. Then I was a little bit concerned, but that was about I was like, oh man, if they get this, suddenly they've got a shot. But till then, I was not really worried at all.
And I mean, to be fair, TCU has issues that they have to work out. Obviously, they have execution things on offense they got to work on. Defensively, they're going to face teams that are going to air it out and be able to go deep a lot more than Minnesota. So they're going to have to be prepared for that, and those young guys on defense are going to have to be ready. But I mean, again, first game, I think you're happy with the way things turned out.
I'm happy with it. They got the win. All right, SFA Saturday, 2:30, Amon G. Carter Stadium. Be there. We'll be there. And coming up next, we're going to talk about SFA. So you are educated when you go to this game, because that's what we're here to do. Educate fools. Purple Menace Podcast.
Multiple sclerosis destroys connection, so it's only fitting that connection would be its greatest enemy, because connection takes away MS's ability to isolate. And as more connections form, we end up with more knowledge, more resources, more understanding, more ideas, and more hope. And then, the connections we make become more powerful than the connections MS destroys. MS kills connection. Connection kills MS. Give what you know at msconnection.org.
Welcome back to the Purple Menace Podcast. Jeff Craig, Billy Wessels, BJ Catalon here to talk about Stephen F. Austin University and how they are going to play against TCU this year. Good team from last year, playoff team last year. They got off to a rocky start, lost their first game to Northern Arizona. Pretty close game, 34-28 was the final, but SFA scored 2 late touchdowns on that game, so I think the final score probably made it look closer than it really was. But there's some talent on this SFA team, and Coach P does not take Division II or FCS schools, as they're called now, doesn't take them lightly. They come in here, they've got something to prove.
Well, like he said, this is their Super Bowl. This is their biggest game of the year until they get to their playoffs. But getting a chance to come in here and make a big statement, that could be just so big for their program, just what that could even mean. This could be their biggest win ever. I mean, for that school entirely, coming here and be the number 3 team in the country right now. The new polls came out. TCU's at 3 in both of them. But shocking, right? You win a game and you get jumped in the polls. It sounds like a new story, huh?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I mean, I just saw it on my way here. Actually, I just saw the new polls. But like you said, SFA, even though they're FCS school, I'm sorry about that. But they're going to come here and, they're not going to lay down. Just in the past, playing schools, like that, they don't come in here and lay down. Of course, like you said, that's their Super Bowl. They would love to come in here and beat us. And like you said, they have speed, talent. I know if I played with a few guys on their team, and I know a few of those guys that transferred from Division I schools, and they can play, they can run, and they're pretty athletic. So for TCU, we'll definitely have to come out and might as well give them our A game. So.
Talking about guys we got a guy here. You're talking about Hippolito Corporan, their top cornerback, went to your high school.
Yeah, me and him both went. Him, and Deontay Gray, we all went to high school together. I have another guy, Lauren Easley, he plays running back there. I'm not sure if he's redshirting this year or not, but yeah, he was pretty good in high school. He came out of high school and he went to Utah. I guess things didn't work out there, but he has a lot of talent. He's about 6 feet, 6'1". He'll probably be covering Josh Johnson or Kobe Listenby, so that'll be trouble or a challenge for him. But like you said, I think that's one of their top corners right now. So he'll have, if he wants to, get some looks, he'll have to come in and be able to shut down one of those guys.
Now, on the offensive side of the ball for SFA, their quarterback, Zach Conk, coach's son, you know how those coach's son's quarterbacks are usually pretty – I don't know if they get a little extra here and there, but they're usually well coached because he's probably been hearing it since he was able to throw a football. So he's probably not going to make a whole lot of mistakes. Last week against Northern Arizona, he threw for almost 280. He ran for another 70, and this is a 6'6", 240-pound quarterback. This kid is big, and we've seen the last couple of years. I think when you guys played, was it Southeast Louisiana? They had Brian Bennett, the Oregon transfer, big quarterback.
He had some speed. He gave us a little trouble early on.
Last year against Samford, another big 6'4", 240. So I don't know if Patterson's purposely scheduling Division II schools with giant quarterbacks, but TCU knows how to defend these guys. SFA's got some speed. They run a 3-wide system. One of their guys, Aaron Piper, our buddy Jeremy was telling us about it. He said he's a slot guy, real shifty guy, and so you got to watch out for these teams that come in here with nothing to lose.
And talking about Zach Conk, he's 6'6". He there's only one other person on that roster at 6'6" for SFA. The starting right tackle, David Dane. So the 2 6'6" guys. That's just how big that is. I'm 6'5". That guy's taller than me. I don't look up to many people, especially not you, Geoff. But
and me and BJ are like 5'8".
I'm 5'8", and I don't look up to many people either. No, I'm kidding. But
no, he's mobile, like we said earlier. He gets out and moves around a little bit. Big body, just run over some people. This could be this kind of team that, like you said, we play a lot before and could give us some challenges early on, and then maybe TCU runs away with the late.
Yeah, I agree.
I like the fact that this team is not one of those teams that's going to come in here and run the spread, though. They spread it out a little bit going 3-wide, but they use a tight end. They use a fullback from time to time. They do run the ball up the middle, and I think playing a team like this early on in the season is also good just for your defense when you're talking about how young our defense is with Mike Freeze and now with Ty Summers being the other starter at linebacker. Coach P said earlier today at the luncheon, it looks like Sammy Douglas is done. So you got that much younger at linebacker. Traven Howard's playing linebacker now, so he said he's got to grow him up. You've got 2 true freshmen, a redshirt freshman, and a sophomore at linebacker now. So playing against a team that's going to try to run and a big quarterback that likes to do those draw plays and run some zone read, going to be good for these linebackers in this game. I'd like to see a little more out of our safeties as well. Kendrick had a big game last week. He played really well. We expect that from him. I'm hoping for more from Iloka. I don't know if you didn't hear his name because he wasn't making tackles because other guys were, but I was expecting a little bit more. I don't know. Again, that could have just been that Mike Freeze was making tackles. Kendrick had 9 tackles, so maybe you didn't hear Kenny Iloka as much. Denzel Johnson, we know he's a fast guy coming off that edge as well. They, against a team like this, I think they're going to be more dependent. Your weak and your strong safety against a team like SFA.
Yeah, I think Iloka's been a little bit, I don't know if star shy is the right way. He hadn't really quite come out of his shell yet since transferring here. He was the number 1 safety JUCO commit in the nation a couple years ago. It's taken a while to kind of get used to this team, this system. Maybe I'm not sure exactly what it is going on there, but this would be a good game for him to get some confidence. Him and Denzel, obviously, of course, getting some run on these guys that like to throw the ball a little bit, also like to run an awful lot.
I agree with that. Like you said, for the linebackers, I agree that this will be a good game for them, just so they can get an understanding of the game, and it won't be as fast paced as it will, later on down the season. So right now they can be more relaxed, and they can go out there and just play football. And as long as they just follow the assignments, I feel like the linebacker core will do okay. And as far as safeties, I feel like you said, Derek Kendrick, he's the leader of that secondary right now. He's the oldest guy back there, him and Kenny. Like you said, Kenny Iloka, he'll definitely, have to step up as the season progresses. And I like Ranthony. He's been doing a good job. And I think Nick Orr, he'll have a better season this year. Last year he played a little bit against Baylor, and as you know,
everybody played a little bit against.
Yeah, they killed us with their spread, but those guys like Nick got a chance to play against teams like that, so they'll be more comfortable as the season progresses.
Who does a team like this kind of help prepare you for? It seems similar style to maybe Oklahoma.
Oklahoma is exactly the team who I was gonna say that it'll help you prepare for them, because I mean they'll run the spread a little bit, but they're not a spread team where we have four receivers who are track stars gonna run by anybody. They have plays where they got a big running back, in Samaje Perine and. So I feel like this will be a game that can help us for teams like that. Another team could be Kansas State, who plays more slower pace. And I feel like this game, of course, everybody's expecting TCU to come out and win and big, and I think that's exactly what they should do.
Yeah, we'll have our predictions later on in the show. So that's going to wrap up SFA. Again, 2:30 right here, Fort Worth, Amon G. Carter Stadium. Good luck finding tickets if you don't have them. Maybe you can find them on StubHub or something. But let's pack this place. They're also wearing purple, so at least the whole stadium would be decked out in purple, which will be nice. But get out there, get loud, get crazy. What's the slogan this year? Unite for the fight. I like the Too Cold You better, but let's get out there.
I like the Too Cold You.
Let's get crazy out there and pump this team up. It is the first game of the year, the first home game. You want to come out and make a statement, and everybody who was a naysayer saying they didn't play well against Minnesota – this is get out there and support them so they can get that extra energy and get out there and knock SFA out. So we'll be back. Billy's going to talk a little bit of recruiting here coming up next on the Purple Menace podcast.
5 million Americans are living with Alzheimer's disease, and another 16 million husbands, wives, children, and friends are caregivers. But the right foods may help you prevent it. Vegetables, fruits, whole grains, beans, the same foods that fight diabetes and heart disease can also keep your brain strong and memory sharp. Let's eat right to fight Alzheimer's. Visit eattofightalzheimers.org.
Welcome back. Jeff Craig, BJ Catalon, Billy Wessels, Purple Menace podcast. Now, Billy, since we've got the running back in the room, you thought it would be best to talk about running backs.
Yeah, I come up with a decent idea every once in a while, so why not this one? Yeah, so
I think we should go for it.
Oh, do you? That's about a week old, man. That's about a week old. Where you been, bro? No, so we'll go with the one running back in the class right now. There's probably going to be at least one more. I know GP said at signing day last year, looking probably 2 guys in this year's recruiting class for running backs. The only one they got so far is Travion Williams, running back from Houston King. And you're running back from Houston. Got any familiarity with King or this kid at all? Or
no, not really. But a lot of guys from Houston, I think they know how to run the rock.
They can figure it out.
Yeah, they can figure it out.
This kid's shifty. I mean, he's really kind of a speed guy. 5'9", buck 88, so buck 90 just about. A lot of offers he got along the way too. He got Arizona State, looking at Boise, Houston, obviously H-Town, K-State. He's kind of guy that K-State I think would like to have.
Okay.
K-State kind of builds around a lot of guys like that. Oklahoma State's probably his biggest Big 12 offer. Also had A&M in there too. So he's a guy that was definitely highly sought after, but was down to TCU and Houston when he decided were his top 2 teams. So he stayed here locally. And, I mean, you'll notice if you look at this TCU class so far, a lot of Houston area guys, like Manville's pretty close to Houston, right?
Yeah, Manville's right outside of Houston.
Yeah, so Bel Air's near there, too.
Bel Air's a school we played in high school.
Yeah.
So.
Fort Bend's in that area, too. So, I mean, all these guys are pretty much from the Houston area. I know we talked about that a little before in the show. So they got a King guy. I mean, you got those Kingwoods near there, too. Yeah, so a lot of guys recruiting H-Town pretty well. I mean,
BJ, what's in the water? What's in the water, man?
They put something in the water to help the speed out, I think, if you ask Deontay. But no, that's a good sign, though, just to hear that, TCU's going back down. They're going to Houston. Of course, they're out here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. But just to see a lot of people, from Houston. Houston's is the 4th largest city, in the United States. So, of course, they'll have a lot of talent that'll come out of that area. So just to see TCU going back down there, I like that.
Does it help, like when you and Deontay go back home? Like, do you go back to your old high school and talk to players and coaches and stuff? Do you think that just added to the TCU mystique? I mean, going and winning a Rose Bowl was great, and then last year with the Peach Bowl. But do you think it helps more having current and former players when they go back home? talking to other kids thinking about like going to TCU?
Yeah, most definitely. Whenever we go back home, if it's for a football game, or if we go up to to West Side or old school, a lot of people always ask us about TCU. They love TCU now, and everybody's rooting for TCU. I mean, since it is a private school, you don't see a lot of gear from TCU down there. But now that we walk around, you'll start to see a lot more TCU gear, and a lot of people like TCU just because we. Smaller school, the underdog, and everyone wants to see the underdog win. So that helps out a lot. And knowing people, TCU actually recruited quite a few guys from my school. Alonzo Adams went to my high school. Marcus Jackson as well. So we've had TCU and Westside. We've had a connection. So just seeing TCU, like I said, back down in Houston, and them knowing how well TCU is doing now, that helps out a lot.
So I was looking back at some old recruiting classes, and I came across the old 2012 class. Mm-hmm. Found a Benjamin Catalon. Maybe you've heard of him. What do you? I mean, do you ever look back at this stuff? I mean, you got the 3-star. You ranked number 7 in the state for running backs.
Sometime I know I used to go back and look at that because when you first come to college, a lot of guys think that their high school, their stature or whatever, their status in high school should carry over to college. But, of course, that is not true. So you really have to prove yourself everywhere you go. But it's always nice going back and showing people, like, look what we did in high school or different things like that. And just the whole process, of being recruited and all those things like that, that's all exciting, and it's fun and good to go back and look at it.
What's it like being recruited? Because I was not athletic enough to ever be recruited for anything. Like when I was in high school, I could jump and swing on the rim with like 2 hands, but I was 125 pounds. So not a lot of schools were looking for a 5'8", 125-pound shooting guard. So
you had hops though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I could jump. I had like a 40-inch vertical. Like that wasn't the problem. The problem was I was 125 pounds with
in half.
Poor ball handling skills. So not a lot of height. But what's it like? Just like on a everyday basis, especially in this day and age with like Twitter and Facebook and things like that. Do you get constantly bombarded? Do you have to get like a second phone to just have for recruiting?
Well, to be honest, at that point it's really exciting because it's really like you're the person shopping around. So at that time, all these different schools, may contact you, coaches or recruiting coordinators that hit you up on Facebook or maybe hit you up on Twitter. And the times that they're allowed to call, they'll call. And so it'll be days where you'll have 10, 15 calls and you're on the phone and another person's calling. So things like that, in-home visits, those things, that it's exciting, and it can have some pressure to it as well. You can feel a little pressure just because, you might want to go to one school, but then here comes another school that you probably always dreamed of. And recruiting is really just, you got to just find the perfect school that'll fit you and that situation.
Now, you were talking about like you might have wanted to go to another school. So since you're not playing football anymore, but you're still here, you're going to school. If you weren't going to TCU, what was the school you were going to go to?
I originally committed to Colorado University. I was going to go down there and play with Eric Bieniemy. He was their offensive coordinator.
He was a good running back.
Yeah, he was a good running back there. So that was really the reason I was going to go there was for him. But in the end, I'm a Houston. I'm a Texan at heart, and my family, I have half of my family is from Fort Worth. So
okay.
I'm always up here around Fort Worth. And at the time, they had 3 running backs go over 700. And so I already knew I wanted to come here.
You were like, "This, I'm going to fit this perfectly."
Yeah, definitely.
Well, it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, it worked out well.
All right, so that's going to wrap up this recruiting segment. BJ, thanks for giving us the insight from what it's like to be recruited. I wish I would have got to experience that. I get happy. I feel like I'm being recruited if somebody sends me like a DM on Twitter, just period. Like it may just be somebody trolling to like, hey, thanks for following us on Twitter, but it makes me feel like I'm being recruited.
You're really
nice.
important, Geoff. I think you're important.
It's pretty nice. All right, coming up next, we're going to have our predictions for the game. Matt will be popping back in with us. We'll get these predictions. Let us know what you think on Twitter, and we'll be right back. Purple Menace Podcast.
When you do drugs, you aren't throwing your problems or worries away. You're throwing your life away. Every day, tons of kids around the world are trying drugs. Every day, kids are losing their lives to them. Do you want those results? Be the one to stand up and say no to drugs. Save your life before someone else has to. Find out the truth about drugs. For more information, visit www.drugfree.org.
All right, welcome back to the Purple Menace podcast. Jeff Craig, Matt Jennings, Billy Wessels, BJ Catalon here talking TCU football. And it's time again for everybody's favorite part of the show. It's prediction time. Who wants to go first on prediction time?
Let's let the guests go first.
All right, BJ, here's the format. Just give us a final score, and you can give us a player of the game. It can be defense, offense, special teams. If you want to pick one from every aspect, it's up to you. And then what his stats are going to be. And they can be as gaudy as you want. Because last year, Billy picked one of the games he picked Trevon to throw a touchdown pass to himself.
He did catch a touchdown pass that game, though. It was the K-State game he caught a touchdown pass?
Iowa State.
No,
Iowa State game.
But yes.
David Porter.
But either way, I still predicted him to catch a touchdown pass that game. Got the quarterback wrong, but I still got it.
I'm going to say the final score will be, I'm going to say 56-14, TCU. Aaron Green, the player of the game.
Knew it.
Nice.
Knew it.
I'm going to say 15 carries, 205 yards,
Ooh.
3 touchdowns.
There you go.
Ooh, that's
There
a
it is.
bold
Now,
prediction.
now, BJ, since we've got you and you're now a former TCU player, and you don't when you were a player, you kind of have to restrain yourself a little bit when you're talking to the media. So now you can be a little bit more honest with us.
Of course.
Like how honest, like how many score predictions and how much are you guys thinking about it in the locker room? Like, how much do we think we want to win by or whatever especially coming into a game like this where you're playing an FCS opponent?
Well, always, before the game, you always want to kind of have to know how much you want to beat a team by. So basically, like I said, coming into this game, that's why the prediction was what I made it. Is because, in a game like this, after coming off of a victory last week against Minnesota, not winning as big as everyone expected. This week I know they got to come in, and I know the mentality is come in and blow these guys out the water, and let's continue to do that throughout the season. So I know that's the mindset right now.
All right, Matt, your turn.
All right. I honestly haven't given this a ton of thought. I think they're gonna pull off the gas a little bit in the fourth quarter, but they're gonna have a sizable lead. I say like a 49 to 12. They give up like 4 field goals, but they don't allow a touchdown on defense. All right, so 49 to 12. I like the Aaron Green pick. I think I am going to go with Josh Dotson, though. Josh Dotson was being really hard on himself after last week's game, but I think he's going to get a chance. I think now, getting a game under his belt, he's going to be healthier. I'll throw out, 126 yards on 7 catches and 2 touchdowns.
Sounds good. Billy, you're up.
All right, well, if those guys have good games, I mean, Boykin's got to have a good game, right? Tremaine Boykin.
Yeah, I remember that.
So there's a guy for Rivals Mike Farrell. Love the guy. National recruiting director for Rivals. But he tweeted
does
out
great work, by
He
the
does
way.
great work, but after the game he tweeted out Trevon Boykin, but he said his name was Tremaine Boykin. And he somehow tagged me in that for some reason, and then I got just a bunch of people. I blew up my Twitter the next day. I'm like, why are these people talking about who is Tremaine? I don't know who the heck Tremaine is. So then he apologized by saying, all right, sorry, I meant Trevon, obviously, but he spelled Trevon wrong again. So I think Boykin sees that. I think
His motivation is
he's
set.
motivated by Rivals Mike. He comes in here, let's say 380 passing yards, 107 rushing yards, and 6 total touchdowns.
5 passing, 1 rushing. You're just going 6 total.
I'm gonna go 6 total because I could see it be 6 rushing, 0 passing. I could see it being.
I can see that too.
I'm gonna say 6 total. That's gonna be bold. Get him back on that Heisman radar.
All right, well, I like all those predictions, but every one of you picked an offensive player, so I feel it's my duty to pick a defensive player.
I didn't pick a score. I don't think.
Oh, yeah, what's your final score?
66-9. A safety and a touchdown for SFA.
Not 3 field goals. It has to be a safety
Yeah.
touchdown. Okay.
Bad snap that goes to the end zone or something?
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
After Patterson was praising Matt Boggs, that's what's going to happen. He's
It
gonna
doesn't have
have
to
a
be the
bad
long
snap.
snapper. It can be Joey Hunt.
Shout out Matt Boggs, my buddy at BSM.
There you go.
He's a good guy.
Don't make any bad snaps. All right, my turn. I'm going to go 63-34. to 10. I think they will score a touchdown. And I think they'll actually score a touchdown somewhere in the second quarter, which then motivates the team after halftime. I like to get real specific. After halftime, they come out and just put like 35 on in the third quarter, and then get those freshmen in for the fourth quarter to get some time. But I'm going to go defense. I'm going to pick Nick Orr. I think he's going to have 1 interception, probably 3 pass breakups. I think he could have had a second one, but it's one of those ones where it's like the first one, it hits him right in the hands and he drops it. Because he's thinking he's got nothing but green in front of him, and he's thinking about the pick 6, and he drops it. But later he redeems himself because he picks off one of theirs in the red zone that keeps them from scoring the second touchdown. How you like that for a prediction?
I like that.
I think you're always gonna predict guys to do things that we see as we walk back here from the press conference. Did you see Nick Orr? We were walking by.
We did see Nick Orr.
Nick Orr again?
Yeah, we walked past Nick Orr on our way over here.
Last week it was Turpin and
who else was it?
Paul Whitmill.
Paul Whitmill. Today was Ty Barrett and Nick Orr.
Maybe they just, I guess I just see him in my periph and it just sticks in my brain.
In your head.
So, all right, that's going to do it for the show. It's going to do it for our predictions. Thank you, BJ Catalon, for joining us, and hopefully we'll have you back later on in the season.
Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. BJ, give everybody your Twitter so you can get even more followers.
My Twitter is Ben_Jammin23.
All right, BenJammin23. Make sure you go give the great BJ Catalon a follow. And if you don't know, here pretty soon in the next couple of years, you're going to be seeing a lot more BJ Catalon on TV. I feel it. He's going to be a fantastic analyst. So if you like BJ's stuff, give him a follow on Twitter. If you like our stuff, give us a follow on Twitter. We are at TCU_rivals. And then, Matt, your Twitter?
At Matt A. Jennings.
Billy?
At Billy Wessels, and it's gonna be more tolerable to follow the Rivals account this weekend because there's not a whole lot of gopher puns. I can make some. I can make some lumberjack puns.
Just keep saying they're gonna go for it.
Yeah, Minnesota should just go for it every time it got to fourth down. But not a whole lot of lumberjack puns I can make that'd be pretty PG to PG-13. I can go.
Well, maybe when our linebackers lay out their running backs, you can be like, he laid the lumberjack into him.
Mm-hmm.
Or something stupid.
Yeah.
See, that's already a stretch.
Yeah, you're worse at that than
Let's
I am.
just stop,
Yeah.
please.
All right, and I'm Jeffrey, GEOFFREY_Craig. And if you haven't listened to any other podcast, there's an underscore because some doctor in London took the one without it. So I know.
Jerk.
What a jerk. All right, we'll be back next Tuesday, another Purple Menace podcast. Bye-bye.